Mark was sitting on the sofa, still trying to mask his depressed view of the world. Josh had tried to get him to a doctor or take a few days off in another way. His stubborn friend had refused and gone to work either way. He had learned a lot about his friend to know that Mark could mask any state of mind. The moment he was struggling to do so was enough of a sign which showed how dire things were. "What's wrong?" the angel asked, hoping to get his friend to talk. Mark sighed, dragging the word to think of the next words. "You know, there was this one customer and he was an arsehole. He couldn't manage to tell me what he wanted in a language I understand. The whole thing ended with me being called stupid and him yelling." A pause followed, in which she drew her hand through his reddish blonde hair. "Would have liked to tell him to piss off, but it's not appreciated in my line of work." "Perhaps you should stop working. I hate to break it to you, but I've got to pay rent and taxes." The man on the sofa laughed, probably to convince himself that it wasn't that bad what had happened. "It hit me deeper than I liked," he confessed in a more serious tone. "I thought about ending it on my way home." "Ending what?" Josh uttered, alarmed. He knew what his friend was hinting at. "You know, everything. Just get it over with. Be done with living. There's no hope for a sorry bastard like me." "Listen to me," Josh cut in, stepping in front of his friend. "I need you to promise me something." Mark only shot him a miserable look. "I know you don't break promises, so promise me you won't kill yourself." "I'm not going to. Promise me anyway. Promise me that you will hold on to life. I'll be with you whenever you need me." Mark seemed speechless for a moment. "I promise I'll hold on for you." Josh put a hand on the man's shoulder, which enabled him to gaze into Mark's memory without the man noticing. Finding the face of the angry customer, he grinned in satisfaction. "You're not hopeless, Mark. As long as you have faith, you are never hopeless." It took a bit of time for the angel to find the unfriendly human, but he had managed to track him down. The man in his 50s, with an air of arrogant ignorance around him, was just exiting his expensive car. His whole bearing spoke of dominance and the need to bully others to feel more powerful. Josh disliked him in an instant, and the anticipation of giving him a lecture let his heart jump in his chest. "Hello, douchebag," he whispered after having sneaked up right behind the man. The stranger turned around at once, his eyes filled with shock that quickly turned to rage. Josh kept grinning and didn't answer when the man asked for his name and the purpose of his visit in a very rude and loud manner. The angel could tell he was afraid. He should have been sorry for being fearsome, but he wasn't. What he did feel was delight. It was God's punishment, righteous punishment. When the man got no answer and Josh didn't leave him alone, the stranger threw a punch. Josh, however, caught the fist mid-air, opening all his eyes and wings. With his burning gaze, he stared right into the man's soul. Sinister glee welled up inside of him. He knew it was wrong. He should feel wrong about it, shouldn't he? What are you?" "I am a servant of the Lord," he uttered in a deep, powerful voice, "and you will leave my friend alone." When the man struggled to remember, Josh sparked his memory by showing him Mark via telepathy. The man nodded hastily, and as soon as the angel let go, the big bully scrambled for the safety of his home. Josh allowed himself a few more minutes of satisfaction before deciding to go home. He didn't want Mark to return in the morning wondering where his friend might be. Even if he never tried to control the angel, he might get curious and find out what he didn't want to know. Josh wasn't sure if it was the frosty breeze or perhaps something more eerie that let his guts crawl. A cold stone suddenly formed inside of him, and the sensation of being hunted let his skin prickle. He knew that sensation. It was the same as the night when something had attacked him up in the skies over the African continent. He had been searching there for his father. The Bible spoke, after all, about the Israelites leaving Egypt. It had been the best lead, but something had found him. Feeling the dread of exposure, Josh folded his wings and walked back home. Still, every shadowy corner or alleyway made him look twice over his shoulder. He had to keep himself from getting paralyzed by his fear, which would have petrified him and thus made him a welcome target. He wasn't alone in the city any longer. The creature must have followed him like a hound. He had hoped to be able to stay a while longer, yet he was an angel after all. He wasn't supposed to be on earth. A gap opened in his heart when he thought about heaven. The seraphim wondered where he belonged. He wasn't angel. He wasn't human. The queasy tingling in his stomach hadn't stopped since the night the angel had been out alone. He didn't know how to tell Mark, who seemed to have closed himself off a great deal. Josh wondered if he should just leave. Feeling strangely weary, he went to the toilet to wash his hands. The university was quiet at such a late time, as always. Mark would be working either way, or it might be their somewhat disrupted communication that let the angel remain in the institution that long. Footsteps from behind informed Josh about another student. A glimpse into the mirror above the sink showed Thomas. One hand held a knife, the other was clenched into a fist. "Don't do that, Thomas," Josh spoke without turning around. At that moment, he wasn't sure anymore how far his friend would go to find out about who the angel was. "I have to know, Josh. It drives me mad," the man replied, more distraught than confident. As soon as the angel turned around, Thomas charged. The angel dodged with one single movement, but Thomas was already following. It wasn't difficult to keep the student at arm's length. Thomas was no warrior. None in this society was a warrior. They weren't used to wielding weapons or protecting themselves. Seemingly tired of the one-sided wrestle, Thomas took a few steps back. There was something strange in his eyes Josh couldn't name. "You leave me no choice. I really hope I am not wrong." Before the angel could intervene, his friend cut his own throat. He grimaced as he felt the pain, which he hadn't thought to be so immense. Josh wasted no time, but ran towards his swaying friend to catch him just in time. He'd never healed a wound as lethal as that, but he tried his best to save that foolish mortal. Thomas kept choking beneath his hand, the eyes wide and rolling. Josh's own shock didn't reach through to him. Too occupied was he with the fear of Thomas dying in front of him, and by his doing. Seconds passed when Josh kept healing and praying. Feeling the wound gone, he could hear his friend take a shallow breath. When Thomas' eyes fluttered open, he looked at the angel with a new, fearful awe. Raising his clenched hand, he rubbed dirt into Josh's eyes. Momentarily blinded, the angel had no choice but to open another eye on his palm. Struggling to his feet, Thomas was aiming to come at him again. When he saw the fiery eye, he stopped dead. "I was right. What are you?" "I am Josh," the angel stammered, still cleaning his usual two eyes. "I called you an angel that night, but right now I get the feeling of facing a monster." Josh felt an invisible spear hit him at the statement. Being able to open his eyes again, he quickly closed the one he'd used to keep seeing. "The others didn't believe me, you know. Told me I've taken something once too often." Josh swallowed as Thomas kept staring with a half smile that bordered to insanity. The fresh blood staining his clothes made him look even more like some poor sod who'd lost his wits. "Thomas, I don't." Thomas took a step back when Josh attempted to come closer again. "I know you saved me right now, but it's too much for me. I'm only human." "You're right. We can't grasp things above us." With something that might have been regret, the student fled the restroom, and when Josh followed shortly after, the young man was already gone. Only silence and empty hallways greeted him. I shouldn't be here. Tears still forced their way to the surface when Mark came home. Josh was sitting in the kitchen, his head resting on the table. He wanted to go home. He wanted to stay. He didn't want to go back to university. He didn't want to hurt people, and he didn't want to be hurting himself. Josh? Came the careful question. Mark's voice sounded so full of life after hours of miserable silence. When the man saw the tears, he came closer with a worried expression. What's wrong? I did something very stupid, my friend. New tears came even stronger when Josh remembered the sensation caused by Thomas' rejection. Mark listened without interruptions when the angel told him about the encounter. Not every human is as open-minded as I am, Josh. Don't hold it against him. Don't blame yourself. I'm still here. You're not alone. Those words warmed Josh's heart enough to let him just cling to his friend in the form of a hug. He felt lost on earth, but Mark was the firm rock in a raging sea.